Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Thursday, it is Rob Liefeld Day, so we're looking at the next issue of Youngblood Strikefile for Image Comics. This is issue number 3, cover dated August 1993. First thing I'm going to say, and we are just reviewing half the issue if you remember, the other half of the flip book is by Jay Lee. I'll be doing that later when I get to my Jay Lee reviews at some point in the future. So starting with the cover here with Rob Liefeld's depiction of Die Hard, the first thing I thought right off the bat, not even subconsciously, is, there's a huge Mignola influence here. I've often talked about Rob Liefeld sometimes, coming upon artists and wearing his influences on a sleeve a little too obviously sometimes. Maybe this is one example of that there. So he's not going full-on Mignola with the full-on silhouette, but, most of half of his body is almost closely in full silhouette. It's just, it almost feels like he couldn't quite get there and had to add the, the Image Extreme Studio type highlights all the way around there. But I feel like that's what he was going for. And another thing that tells me that is just this chunk of debris here in the foreground, which I've never really seen Rob Liefeld depict machinery and stuff kind of in this manner. So it does feel like to me he's aping something in more of the Mignola vibe, with the machinery and the pipes and the screw and stuff. Yeah, so definitely there's a period in his early career too where I do feel like he starts to draw a little bit more angular and stuff. Some covers he did for X Factor I think are good examples of that, where at that point his style really does look like Mignola style at that time. And as I review Rob Liefeld, there'll be tons of other examples of that. The next review after this, because this is basically one of the last issues I bought as a kid. This is probably the last Rob Liefeld comic I bought as a kid collector. And then anything I have after that is later on, way later on, is going back and finding kind of, cheap extreme issues here and there and collecting them and stuff. So next review is going to be kind of an amalgamation of two of those types of books, and I'll talk a lot of they're good examples of where Rob Liefeld is just, I gotta say, I wouldn't call it ripping it off, but just literally taking stuff from other people and drawing it the same way on his artwork. I've mentioned some of that stuff before. Some of the werewolves in Youngblood he did. A werewolf character in the later issues of Youngblood looks a lot like the werewolf that Dale Keown did in Pit. So there'll be more examples of that. Not so much in this issue here, but I'll be bringing that up next review next week. Another cover detail that I find interesting, I don't know if it's ever been revealed of what race Die Hard is. Not that it matters, it really doesn't. But from what I can remember, this is one of the only depictions of Die Hard where you see the skin underneath. Like, he's part cyborg and stuff, but it's like, it's never quite defined which part of him, if it's the suit or, it's never been quite clear. And the fact that he has skin here, and to me the tone suggests that he would be African American or black, right? Again, not that it matters one way or another, but has that ever been kind of pointed out? I know there was a thing in the early 90s with a lot of these guys, Chapel was called like the Black Punisher. Tom McFarlane has often pointed out that he's like one of the first to make his hero just a black man, right? And he's not one of the first, but at least in a prominent series, I guess is what he was saying. And again, not that any of that matters per se. I'm just curious if this ever kind of went anywhere, right? Because to me, again, he's either a very tanned man or he's black, right? Anyways, anyone knows, let me know in the comments. So we kind of get a repeat of the shot from issue 2, Youngblood Strikefile, last issue. Who do we got as far as creators? Again, creator, writer, pencils, Rob Liefeld. Danny Miki is inking. I've mentioned before that, Danny Miki's inking is great. I don't know if it's so great on Rob Liefeld. I think it gets better when he's doing inks for McFarlane on Spawn. But always prefer Rob Liefeld inking himself. And again, this is a continuation of Rob Liefeld's art to me kind of changing and morphing into something I'm not quite as excited about as compared to his earlier style in X-Force and those early issues of Youngblood, right? I've mentioned it before, that's peak Liefeld to me. Special thanks to Art T-Bear and Norm Rapmond for inking assists, so they did help out on inking on this issue as well. It's surprising only doing half a comic here. I'm not quite sure how many pages this one is, but it's fairly short, that they're still kind of having trouble with deadlines and getting inkers to help and assist and move things along, but, that was Image Comics in the early 90s. So another, I would say this comic probably has all these big splashy images. One, because it's a Rob Liefeld comic, and he's probably at this point kind of running out of gas and maybe tired of the story and just wants to get through it. And big images obviously help move pages along, right? So from last issue, I guess Die Hard had thrown a shield before Super Patriot was starting to menace him with this piece of debris he just ripped out of the ground. It's all in shadows. We don't know exactly what it is. It's it's another example of Liefeld starting to cut corners, basically, in the storytelling. Not just the art per se, but the storytelling. Another double page splash here, no backgrounds. This is going to be a short review. The Sucker Punch. I'm not even going to go into reading the narration stuff. Here's a weird detail. I'd have to go and look at Strike File 2. Maybe I'll pull it out real quick and do that, because I'm going to do that now. Luckily, it's not too far away. There we go. Give me a sec, guys. I just wanted to compare because from reading Savage Dragon and the Super Patriot miniseries, I don't remember Super Patriot ever having a cybernetic neck, right? And, okay, so because of the angle and the depiction in issue 2 of Strike File, we don't get any neck here. Right here, it's kind of, see here, it doesn't look cybernetic at all. We get a bit of neck. Isn't it funny that, like, we might go through a whole issue here of Super Patriot fighting Die Hard, and we don't get any depictions of the neck. We got one little one. Okay, we got one here, right? Is that on camera? So we got neck. So human, neck as it's supposed to be, as it is in continuity in the Savage Dragon. Don't see much of it. Looks like normal neck all throughout. Don't see any neck. And I guess from this point on, maybe he finishes this issue, right? Has a bit of downtime, doing other stuff, whatever, working on some pinups, doing some conventions, and then he comes back to maybe a few weeks later or a month later, or a lot of time later, I don't know about deadlines back then, comes back and forgets that basically Super Patriot does not have a cybernetic neck, but just has a regular human neck, right? So it kind of popped out to me as a kid, and I never went and looked at it, but I did now, right in front of you guys on the camera. So just to show you, Liefeld's inconsistencies with the character design. Just like our review of Pit yesterday, we get the Liefeld vertical double page splash here. I don't know if I can get it all on frame. Maybe like that gets most of it. Pretty cool kind of, iconic Liefeld type shot. Did it need to be this big? Probably not. Could this have been like, think of Jack Kirby and his 6-panel layout on one page here. Kirby would have done this in one panel. Small, maybe not as detailed and stuff, but probably just as exciting and dynamic. So yeah, this issue, issue 2 and 3 of Youngblood Strikefile basically have the same narrative thread, which is Die Hard fighting Super Patriot and Super Patriot fighting Die Hard. That's basically what's going on here. This is before the Super Patriot miniseries, so again, Liefeld's basing his depiction of the guns more on what Larson has established at this point, right? And, I guess the mission was a success because Die Hard does succeed in grabbing Super Patriot and bringing him back. But to where, I don't know, because this is the thing with Liefeld storytelling. We're in this place. We never saw Die Hard actually arrive to the building or anything. He's just in there, and now he's just out. And then next, we're in Youngblood headquarters, but never at this point in Liefeld's career, never any establishing shots, right? We're always inside right away, Nice of him to involve the other Youngblood characters and the kind of Youngblood manager guy, I guess, who this guy is, And Shaft and Die Hard obviously aren't happy of the fact that they're keeping Super Patriot behind lock and key here, right? And now they're back in the hands of the government. He's back in the hands of the government, but they're not so sure that's the best for the man within the machine, right? That's kind of the whole thematic thing with Super Patriot, right? He's kind of basically RoboCop. You could, it's the same thing. Again, when you know where all the inspiration comes from this stuff, I was a huge RoboCop fan, the first movie, not anything after that. The first movie is awesome. Still a classic, so, you see the tropes. But Super Patriot has a really good design. Really like his design. Something about the inking on Die Hard's face here that I really like as compared to most of the inking in this issue. Again, it's like, I feel when Danny Miki shows up, he's kind of cleaning up the Liefeld grit, which I liked, and it's almost looking more West Coast, you know? I just like the Jim Lees, and there's a bit of a Jim Lee aesthetic on top of Rob Liefeld, and I don't like it as much as just basic Rob Liefeld inking himself. So yeah, that's our shot of Super Patriot. Of course, you know, we've got Die Hard, who's kind of the same kind of... Oh, let me turn that back for you. He's the same kind of character, right, as Super Patriot. He's a reflection of him, and you know, the narration will not let you forget it, right? I don't even know if you would actually need the narration. You're smart enough to kind of see the Die Hard, you know, with as little emotion as he has on his face, is thinking about that duality between the two, right? So as I gaze upon Super Patriot hanging lifeless before me, I can't help but feel invulnerable. That could just as easily be me up there. I don't think that would have been needed. The writing would have been better, right? With just him looking up, you know, instead of adding these two, maybe you have a panel of just, you know, an extra shot of Die Hard's face looking off in the distance or something. And I think the reader would kind of understand what he's thinking there. And now basically ends with him and Glory walking off into the distance here. And it's to be continued in the pages of Erik Larsen's Super Patriot, on sale now, which is a super awesome miniseries with awesome art by Dave Johnson. He was kind of starting out around this time. And I'll be reviewing that at some point because that's just an awesome miniseries. And once again, I've often said that I think Erik Larsen was the smartest in developing his kind of universe and shared books and stuff. And Super Patriot is another good example of that. Just a quick miniseries, great art, great writing, and really works itself well into Savage Dragon continuity. Just looking at the ads here, kind of curious as to what was going on. I mean, we're going to be talking about Extreme, right? It was supposed to be, it says here, 64-page quarterly featuring the talents of... I don't think that ever happened. Extreme just ended up being some sort of preview comic, which I have, which, again, we're going to look at next issue, next review. And I'll leave it at that because that's where it ends. Kind of unimaginative as an ad for Extreme, right? You would think that just rather than... I get that it's striking with the black background, but I think some artwork would serve this a bit better maybe in this space here and figuring something out than just, you know, move the Extreme up, give us some Extreme artwork, right? But I would assume that the ad is like this because at the time, none of the artwork for the issue had probably actually been drawn. That's probably kind of typical of Extreme Studios. Soliciting books that didn't eventually even come out. So there you go, guys. That is my review of YOUNGBLOOD STRIKEFILE issue 3 by Rob Liefeld. Not much left with Rob Liefeld. This is, again, in around probably my last issue. Pretty sure this is my last issue of Rob Liefeld, Youngblood, and Image stuff. The stuff I'll be reviewing next review is just, it's odds and ends that I got over the years where I can kind of talk about some of the evolution and devolution and changes in Rob Liefeld's artwork. So we'll have good examples of that next review. After that, I'll be doing something a little bit special, going back in time and then forward in time, comparing to the same series, basically, 25 years apart or something. If you know a little bit about Rob Liefeld's history, maybe you know what I'm going to be talking about. So again, we're going to be going back in the past and to the future. Well, at least as opposed to the past. Anyways, this should be a lot less confusing when I explain it. Not next review, but the one after that when I get to that. So more details to come when I get there. There you have it, guys. Those of you who are subscribed and are still watching out there, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support, your comments. You know, you write to me. I try to answer as best as I can. Any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. I'm definitely interested in hearing your opinions on that. Those of you who are watching but are not subscribed, please do so below. It's really easy. It takes a second or so for you, and it really helps boost the numbers and boost the channel, helps get us out there to more like-minded people who are into comic books just like we are. So everyone out there, thank you for watching and have an awesome day. King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.
Subscribe! Like! Subscribe!